Look at us now, tip to tip.
Jesus.
Oh.
Shout out to Morning Kombat.
Do you want a margarita?
Yes!
My God!
Come to us, doing what we love. But it's time to bang. Oh, yeah, you are looking live at Luke's bed. Hey, what's going on? It's Morning Kombat. You're watching this on Friday, August 8th, 2025, and it's still the best damn combat sports show of all time. Even though it's not live today, Luke Thomas having a little holiday, so we're shooting a little bit early, but Brian Campbell live and direct from the CT suburbs. Luke, you got a rock lobster face. What are you, in an Airbnb? How the damn hell are you?
I'm good. Yes, I have a rock lobster face. As you can see, this is the Airbnb that I am renting behind me. I am taking Tukester to the beach, and we're having a great time.
All right.
I have. It may not look like it, but I actually did wear sunscreen. I've just been drinking. So there you go.
Oh, so it's just an intoxicated episode. I got a little
No.
evening coffee right here to stay alive. What about you?
No. I'm not intoxicated at all. I had 2 beers at the beach, and that was at noon, and it's well past that. So
yeah, you've already pissed that out aggressively. Yeah, there you go. Well, we will have for you a little bit of an abbreviated but still action-packed show as the news cycle continues to stay quiet this summer outside of some other things. How about WWE on ESPN? That's pretty hot right now. But we got a little for you setting the stage for UFC Apex this weekend. UFC 319 next week. They've been churning that butter old school style with some media activity going on. Maybe we'll even hit some dead wrongs and fan subs on the way out. Thank you so much for joining us. Please, why don't you like this video if you're watching on YouTube? Subscribe to what we're doing here. Shout out to everybody watching on the DraftKings network. You can follow us, follow our extended YouTube channels. If you're audio only, tell a friend there in the grocery store next to you how good this show is. My favorite compliment is when people are like, yo, I was at the gym and I had 175 up, and then Luke talked about that lady's vagine looked like sleeve of wizard, and then they almost died. Those are good moments. Right?
I've never gotten a DM like that. What are people sending you?
Happiness, Luke. Yeah.
Are you gonna go to a who is the WNBA team that plays at the Mohegan Sun? Connecticut Sun?
Connecticut Sun, and right
Yes.
now there's
how many dildos are you taking to tonight's game?
Oh,
is
dude,
really
how
the
good
operative question.
I knew they arrested that one dude. They finally found the guy
Yes, they
behind
did.
it.
Yes, they did.
So the Connecticut Sun are currently up for sale. The Boston Celtics want to buy it, but there's a counter group that want to put it in downtown Hartford. So we'll see what happens there with those ladies, Luke. I wanted to remind everybody that today's episode of Morning Kombat is presented by DraftKings. And, of course, with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Thank you so much. Luke, what are you as a beach dad? Do you make the sandcastles happen? Are you going in the water, like in the actual ocean? What's happening?
Brother, my wife had to work today. Even though we're here, my wife had to work today. So Daddy did everything. I put everything in the SUV. I unloaded everything. Abuela was with me, but she's a little bit limited in mobility and what she can carry. I set up the tent. I had to carry the cart that has all the stuff in it. I built 5 sand castles today. I had to go snorkeling with my daughter, and we got into the water and did, riding the waves and boogie boarding. I had to teach her how to boogie board. You can see the reason I look like a rock lobster is because I've been trying to win Dad of the Year today. I don't know if I got it, but I made a good faith effort at it.
Well done. Dragging that cart around. What's the cart's name? Henna?
What's the joke there?
Cartagena, Colombia.
Oh.
Sorry, it's a play on. In my house, people are always like, "Oh, can you grab the scissors? They're in the bin." I'm like, "Which bin, Laden?" Okay.
Yeah, the Bin Laden bit. No. I got those little wagons you can pull that you can put stuff in.
Yeah. There you go. Sorry, no more dad jokes today. Hey, let's bring in the third member of our team. He's not a writer at all. He's a producer, a technical director, a bong enthusiast. He comes to us by way of an Australian man's horned up abilities. It is Long Island main card minute Luke Nocita. How the hell are you, Brohan?
I'm good. You said no more dad jokes, so I thought I wasn't going to get the old horned up Aussie intro there. But guys, another Apex card this weekend. I'm hyped for it. How about you?
I'm pretty hyped for it.
guess
Actually, I'm pretty hyped for that damn main event. I'm all fluffed up over here.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys think, or what about you, LT? What do you think this WWE on ESPN news means for UFC?
I'm going to be honest here for just a second. I guess I just don't totally understand the significance of the ESPN WWE news. Can you break it down for me? Like, why is it so important?
Well, they're getting essentially upwards of 3 times the amount of money they were getting from Peacock NBC for their PLEs, which is their, once a month pay-per-views. And I just believe that in some way, I mean, look, it's a continuation of TKO just spreading their tentacles across combat sports on basically every single network. And there are a lot of people that believe that this sets the stage without question for UFC to come back on ESPN. So still a lot of people in boxing and MMA are waiting to see where the UFC goes so then they can figure it out. But it was surprising that this WWE deal snuck in there before it. But well, whatever, kind of interesting stuff right there. So,
I mean, the everything I've heard, everything that you have read that is public has kind of indicated that we're going to get some sort of Netflix ESPN split with ESPN carrying the bulk of the inventory, not the exclusive amount, but the bulk of it. And I realize that Zach Arnold over the MMA Draw has kind of intimated that maybe Paramount might be in the mix as like a late addition. My feeling is that they're being included, BC, probably to drive up the price a little bit. Maybe Zuffa Boxing ends up on there, but I think it's going to be what we always have been expecting. Some combination of Netflix and ESPN for UFC.
Gone are the angry BC columns from CBSSports.com against TKO.
Yeah, they didn't renew my contract right on time. You know what I'm saying?
There we go. But hey, shout out to TKO. Make that money, players.
Although I want to be clear. CBS always took good care of me. I have no animosity whatsoever. They were a great company to work for. If you get a chance to do it, please do so.
I'm a very happy employee with CBS Paramount. No question about that. Why don't we, what else do we, oh yeah, merch. Hey, do you like this t-shirt? I don't think it's available, but you can go to morningkombat.shop for some really good stuff, including those August exclusives. Vaping is for closers. You're damn right it is. How about MK Beavis and Butthead Style, brought to you by Average Joe Art, or the autographed Super Wash Dads poster right there. Check it all out. We got some evergreen items as well, the Boyfriend of the Year shirt, and so much more. Morningkombat.shop, the best way to support this pod. All proceeds go to LT, the LIL, and the BC. I hope RJ Dunkelmaker's out there happy somewhere. All right, there we go. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you.
I'll leave that one alone.
All right. Hey, let's do this thing. All right. Topic number 1 this Saturday, the warehouse in Las Vegas, known as the UFC Apex, will be back. We have a much better card than last week, however, and a middleweight main event that I feel like you need to see. A pair of streaking 185ers will headline Saturday's card as 37-year-old Roman Dolidze puts his 3-fight win streak to the test against a 31-year-old Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, who has won 7 consecutive fights, including most recently against longtime rival Brendan Allen. In a matchup between the number 10 and number 9 middleweights in this, which with Dolidze being number 9, Luke, what is the most intriguing aspect of this matchup stylistically as these two look to make a leap, at least for the winner, close to this top 5 at 185?
It's got to be, well, I mean, it doesn't have to be. My feeling is that the ground game here is really the most interesting component to this fight in terms of the style matchup. Now, there's other stakes that are involved that actually make this fight kind of interesting, actually pretty interesting. Again, it was one of these questions is like, is this a suitable main event for a UFC card? Does it make sense for the Apex? Putting those considerations aside, and just for the present moment, are there interesting stakes in this bout? No question about it. And in terms of the style matchup itself, BC, I really think if you just look at Anthony Hernandez, Fluffy Hernandez, and the way in which his career has gone more recently, it's extremely impressive, but he doesn't get the job done typically until the third round or later. Dolidze has beaten better guys and has better experience. And in fact, they both have a common opponent in Kevin Holland. And Kevin Holland in 2020 beat Anthony Hernandez. Meanwhile, Roman Dolidze just ran over him. So something to be said for like how much Anthony Hernandez's career started in a somewhat unheralded way, and now he's in a very different position. But in terms of the fight itself, to me, it's going to be, I think Roman Dolidze has good takedowns, good takedown defense. He's got crafty submissions. And Anthony Hernandez, he puts a pace on you, but it takes a while before the water starts boiling. It's not like, not everyone can be Khamzat Chimaev, but the point I'm trying to make is Khamzat Chimaev, from the word go, is shot out of a cannon. That's really not the case with a guy like Anthony Hernandez. He takes a little bit of time. And so, to me, the question is, BC, that third round demarcation line, what happens after that? It's not like Dolidze is some kind of guy who fades down the stretch.
He used to be. Didn't he used to be a guy that didn't have the most perfect casting?
So yes, but I think more recently that's really not exactly been the case. Now, is he as potent in round 5 as round 1? No, and I think that's kind of the difference, because Hernandez is on you like white on rice in round numbers 4 and 5, even round 3 up to that point. And so it becomes a really interesting test. What does Dolidze have left, given what I think for Hernandez is going to put on him as the fight goes long? However, does Dolidze put enough on him early on such that A, he can't win enough rounds, or he's so beaten down and demolished that even if he manages to rally to some extent, it's just not enough?
I'd have to agree with you right there. They've both gone 5 rounds, 2 times each. For Anthony Hernandez, that was his first meeting with Brendan Allen on the regional scene, and 2 fights ago, a TKO victory in that 5th round against Michel Pineda. He didn't go the full 5, but he came close. And for Roman Dolidze, it was his majority decision loss to Nasruddin Imavov in 2024, and most recently, March of this year, when he took a 5-round decision from Marvin Vettori in their rematch. You did mention Vettori's got better experience. He's beaten better guys, even if his win streak isn't as long. I don't know if I'm as worried about him being 37. He's kind of sort of coming into his own of late in this 3-fight win streak. But despite establishing that with Dolidze having better experience and better wins, he's a plus 250 underdog, according to DraftKings, where Anthony Hernandez minus 310. Luke, does that make sense to you, given the streaks they're both on coming into here?
If you just look at like who they beat, and if I asked you, list, for example, give me their 3 best wins from either guy, you might be like, well, I don't really get the odds on this one. And I'm with you, BC. The fact that Dolidze is at 36, 37, again, whatever the
37,
37. I don't see that as necessarily disqualifying in ways that you might in other cases, especially because it's middleweight and, we're not dealing with a championship fight here. However, to me, the whole story is Fluffy Hernandez, right? That's the story here. The story is this guy was good to start, but limited and somewhat under the radar. And he has slowly put together not just a kind of impressive win streak, but his game has come together. I think that, to me, is the interesting thing. It's not a guy who, has gotten a little bit better. He's gotten a lot better. He had the pieces of the game before, but they've gelled now. It's like it's become a more cohesive. Like, he understands how to fight for himself. He understands what makes sense for him and has leaned into it heavy. And honestly, I think he's a bad matchup for all. I'm not gonna say every middleweight, but he's a tough out at a bare minimum for every middleweight. And I think he's a bad matchup for many of the top 15 and even the top 10, certainly potentially even in the top 5 as well. I think that's the kind of thing. He has rounded a corner in a way that, I think Dolidze has rounded his own corner maybe a year or 2 ago, or at a bare minimum, the last 3 fights have been something of a redemption arc anyway. But that's not the same as what Hernandez has done. Hernandez keeps impressing you, even when I know more recently he had about, obviously, the I think it was the last bout where he was on antibiotics and he kind of looked like shit early and it took him a little while to get going. And then, he didn't look necessarily like himself, and he still got the job done. I mean, this is the point I'm making. If this guy is healthy, I really believe, BC, I'm not, a lot of times I get on here and I'm like, this guy's going to fight for a title. I don't know if Hernandez is going to fight for a title, but I will say this. I would not be the least bit surprised A, if this is his best win, and B, he does fight for a title at some point in 2026 or 2027.
That is interesting. Even though he's the B side, he is the betting favorite, Fluffy Hernandez. I agree with you that that this fight, the story of this fight, centers a little bit more around him. Although when I look at this fight, the story kind of centers around Cheyenne to me. But that's another topic for another day. Hopefully, Roman's not watching. Luke, I do remember, however, and maybe the answer is the antibiotics. I remember when he did have last time out, Fluffy, the rematch with Brendan Allen, that while we gave him praise for the win, there was this feeling like maybe he's lacking a little bit extra oomph to be a finisher in this division against
Yes, that is real. And in fact, I was a little bit down on him before I learned that antibiotics had really hurt him.
Sure.
So let me say this. He does have, he's not a natural finisher. He's not a natural finisher. He's not like Khabib, who everything he did was to try and funnel you into a fight-ending scenario. To me, what Fluffy does is just try, and it's almost like a little bit like what Merab does. I think, a middleweight version of it, a slightly different version of it, where it's just labor. And that labor, he tends to ramp it up a little bit more, I think, relative to what Merab does, which is why he does get some finishes, relatively speaking, a little bit more regularly. But yes, it's a fair criticism. He's not a dynamic or even natural finisher, and the game he's put together can sometimes lead to a finish. That's true, but it doesn't funnel the game in that particular direction, and that could be something against a guy like Dolidze, who's got wins at 205 and is big and strong. And again, as we mentioned, a veteran beaten better guys than Fluffy Hernandez is beaten at a bare minimum and very, very strong for the weight class. We'll see how that manifests itself on Saturday.
Yeah, Dolidze strong as an ox, mean, all those things. Speaking of Fluffy, he sat down with Mike Bone of MMA Junkie fame, and they talked about this, the fact that a victory here would give Fluffy 8 consecutive, and no UFC middleweight has ever won 8 and not gone directly into a title fight afterwards. Let's listen in.
How much more work do you think you really have to do? Because I was just looking at the longest winning streaks that have ever happened in the middleweight division, and no one has had to win more than 8 in a row before getting a title shot. So if you have to fight one more after this, it would be unprecedented.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, I'm ready for whatever. You know what I mean? This game is crazy, and you never like know what to expect in this world. You know what I mean? Someone can get hurt and you get called tomorrow. So, fuck, who knows?
The comments are, Fluffy, like he's the dark horse. He's the most underrated guy. He's going to get that belt. Do you feel like, at least from like the fans, all that type of stuff, people are recognizing what you're capable of and what you're doing out there?
No, for sure. The fans have been fucking like I've been seeing the same shit online, getting tagged and stuff, and like you're the dark horse, and I hope that like a lot of people have been pissed that I'm at the Apex even. You know what I mean? Like they're like, no, fuck that. I wanted to go see it, which is a fucking blessing because like now the fans are actually starting to get behind me, and they really see like the true people that know martial arts. They know that I know my shit. You know what I mean? So it's like whatever. It'll all work out soon.
It's a good attitude, but I do feel like even with an 8 consecutive victory, he'll still be on the outside looking in, considering title fight's going to be next week in Chicago. And then we got that Kyle Borralho fight against Nasruddin Imavov, who is very underrated and deserving here. And when you look at that top 10, we've also got some other big name players. Sean Strickland's trying to get back into a big fight. RDR absolutely on fire and knocking at the door. Luke, even if you could imagine a scenario where, let's say, Fluffy ran through him, gassed Dolidze out, submitted him, is there any chance he could get that call next in your eyes?
No. I mean, the reasons you articulated would make that impossible. Also, like, Fluffy is something of a hardcore fan's delight, right? If you watch Apex show, I mean, this is, it's an interesting question is like how many, okay, so if 8 is the most under the way which Bond had put that together for a title shot, what does it say that Fluffy might go well past that? It could be 10, 11, or 12, right? Let's just sort of imagine. What does that say? And it says in part, you're just dealing with a different kind, I mean, the tiered structure of the UFC product now, where you've got pay-per-views, on the road fight nights essentially, and then these Apex shows, and then even so, not all the Apex shows are even really created equal. It requires, and I know Fluffy's fought on like not just Apex shows, but I'm simply saying here's one of his bigger ones. It's at the Apex. Granted, it's a main event, but he hasn't built a following. He hasn't built a name. He hasn't built, frankly, even much of an identity. Like you you don't see a lot of Anthony Hernandez interviews that are out there. Like, these factors all kind of play a role here in like who's going to get the jump should there, you know, an opportunity arise. And I don't get me wrong, like I'm excited for this fight, and I think his story is one of the more remarkable ones. I actually, again, I've been saying it, like this dude is really putting together something special, but he has not cobbled together momentum in the broader sense on paper, and then for insiders, yes, but that is not enough to get the call up, short of like, you know, I don't know, some kind of disaster striking, and he's the only guy left, right?
Yeah, on the flip side, Dolidze's got a lot of momentum with the broads, but let's talk about his fighting game. 7-2 over his last 9 in the last 4 years. And if you look at the 2 losses, a decision loss to Marvin Vettori 2 years ago that he avenged in his last fight, and then a majority decision loss to a Nasruddin Imavov, who, like we said, is knocking on the door of a title shot. In between that, stoppages by TKO over Kevin Holland, Jack Hermanson, Phil Hawes, Kyle Dawkins. So we got to put respect on the resume of Roman Dolidze from some of the names he's beaten, decision wins over Vettori and Anthony Smith. Luke, we talk about Dolidze, we're going to talk about the power. We're going to talk about the fact that he fights like a warrior. I mean, he walks in with that fur hat and shoulder pads looking thing on like a dead animal that he killed himself. Do you believe, though, that he's got some elements to his ground game that are underrated? Calf slicers in particular?
Yeah, I mean, the calf slicer is interesting, but I would say that he has. It's a good question. Let me think that through for just a second. I would say that he's got a black belt level game for MMA. And I think he's got underrated ability to capture and hold position to facilitate ground and pound, right? So, like, in other words, contrast that with Paddy Pimblett. Now, I know he beat the fuck out of Michael Chandler, but a lot of times he'll get the back, and then there's not necessarily a ton of ground and pound that happens after. Dolidze is a little different, right? Dolidze he's got the kind of positional attainment and maintenance that facilitates ground and pound, and I think that makes him very dangerous, right? Again, fluffy, bit of a slow starter. Against a guy like Dolidze, who's powerful, who has good takedowns, and then can capture good, strong positions from which to deliver punishment. You know, he can really set himself up here to, at a bare minimum, get out to a nice lead. I think that's the way I would imagine his ground game. Now, you point out the calf slicer, which is interesting. I'm not here to diminish his submission threat, but to me, that's not really what makes his ground game shine. It's a nice little addition to his resume, but I don't think it's the thing that is what he's like most potent for. To me, it's his ground and pound, and I think that really is, you know, the mark of his strength.
It's ahead of this fight, he had cameras following him around in his native Georgia as he was like rock climbing at night and hiking on like slippery areas. He's certainly a man of principle. We remember seeing that video that we showed when he was hiking in Georgia. Remember when he found that soda bottle that was cut in half, Luke, that was probably used to get high, and he gave that editorial against your beloved marijuana. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but I didn't listen because I love marijuana.
Yes, yes. I also love Roman Dolidze, part of this Georgian revolution. Well, Roman sat down ahead of this fight with home of fight, and the topic of weed came up once more, this time centering around the old fluffster.
I like to meet people who are not talking too much and who have a calm vision of life, and he's one of that guys. And he have some stuff what I don't like in his life, but still, you know, we all have something strange in us.
Wait, you talking about the smoking?
Yeah, because I don't smoke. I never smoke, and also I'm against all. In my country where I'm from, this is considered as drug. You know, it's different. That's why in America that's normal. For he's not doing nothing bad. But for me, how I was raised is not normal thing. But it's free country, as we say here.
Long Island Luke, does that turn you off at all?
Yeah, new least favorite fighter.
There you go. All right, Luke, let's talk about what we're actually going to see here. Huge fight for both. The winner could, considering there's a few big names in this division that are on the come down right now, Adesanya, Whitaker, etc., could get a launch into the top 5. Ultimately, especially if this goes 25 minutes, what are we looking at here? Who gets their hand raised?
I'm going to go Fluffy Hernandez. I mean, I know I'm taking big time chalk here, and so Long Island Luke is probably trying to find some betting value in a different direction. But, listen, I respect Dolidze. I think that he is not some chump. He's a good fighter. He's experienced. As I mentioned, there are certain dimensions where he can be quite terrifying. And there are questions about, this is the reality, BC. We kind of know what the full upside is of Roman. We don't really know that what it is for Fluffy. We've seen some interesting development, but we've actually not seen what it looks like. And I have a feeling that it might be higher than some realize. And for that reason, I think we're going to get a glimpse of that. And so give me no stoppage, I don't think. Although that's it's possible. But my official prediction, BC, give me Fluffy Hernandez by decision. That's what I like.
Yeah, I got to go the same way if I'm putting a bet to it. Kind of cheering for Roman Dolidze here. I always like what he brings to this division. Tough man, tough out, big punch in both hands. Long Island Luke, from a betting angle, if you will, where are you leaning ahead of this on the main card minute podcast?
So I took Fluffy money line in a parlay, but if you're just looking for a single to take, you guys both just mentioned Fluffy by decisions, plus 185 on DraftKings right now. Not bad.
Not bad.
The over-under set at 3.5, so even if you just took the over 4.5, that'll be plus money as well. Dolidze's never been finished before. I kind of think this one goes long as well. So
I agree. I really like a finish here, unless there's something freaky like a cut or something that gets in the way. Let's go to this co-main event in I wrote down bantamweights. Is that right or wrong? Let me see here. Yeah, we're gonna go bantamweights. Did Steve Erceg move up here? What's going on, Luke?
no, it's because the fight was on late notice because he was supposed to fight Hyung Sung Park, so O'Day had to take it on late notice.
Where would we be without Long Island Luke? Steve Erceg, former UFC title challenger, who was speed tracked to that after 3 consecutive wins. Even though he was that close to beating Pantoja, maybe a strategic decision better in round 5 would have given him that. Well, now he's lost 3 in a row, yet is a minus 575 betting favorite against O'Day Osborne, plus 425. Is there still time in your eyes, LT, for Steve Erceg to right the ship? 3 losses, all against elite competition, but it was up high and down low for this guy. Does it make sense for him to be almost a 6-1 favorite despite this streak?
Yeah, he's much better than O'Day Osborne, or at least he should be, right? I'd be surprised if he lost this one. I wanted to fucking strangle him through my screen when he shot for that takedown in round 5 against Pan. Can you believe he could have beaten fucking Pantoja if he had not gone for that?
It's insane.
It is like just seeing what Pantoja has done since then. And you're like, dude, you could have disrupted all of that if you just have not made a poor decision. But he made a fucking poor decision, and Pantoja didn't. So look at the difference. So that one killed me. The Kai Kara France one. What can I say about that one? He just I don't know. He wasn't.
I know what to say, Luke.
What do you say? Are you being? Well, I don't know if you're being racist or not. You're just
That's
being
not
dumb.
racist. That's a tribute to the Maoris.
I said I didn't say you're being racist. I just said you're being dumb.
Yeah. This was racist by accident. That was not.
No, fair enough. But the point is, faces notwithstanding, Kai Kara France is a devastating striker for a lot of guys, and you saw evidence of that. And then the Moreno fight, to your point, BC, it was champion, title challenger, champion that he had to go through, and he came up short. On one level, you're like, oh, okay, well, he got fast-tracked there beating, Matt Schnell, and he just wasn't ready for it, and he had to kind of come back down to earth. But I'm not really ready to dump him. I think when I interviewed him, he had insights about the game that were smart. He sits behind the jab. When he makes good decisions, and by the way, remember, that was a 5-round fight. This will be just a 3. He's shown much better ability than O'Day Osborne, BC. I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just the reality.
Yeah.
However, you lose 3 in a row. What does that do to your confidence? What does that do to your ability to pull the trigger? What does that do to your ability to believe that you can win? And also, coming all the way from motherfucking Perth to Las Vegas, what does that kind of travel do for you as well? So he should win this one, but maybe it gets interesting.
And as Long Island Luke mentioned, the late opponent switch when Hung Young, how did we say that? Park.
Hyung Sung Park, I believe.
Hyung Sung Park. Thank you. Trying to be good on this. Ode Osborne, 33 out of Jamaica. He's lost 4 of his last 6, 3 of those by stoppage, but he's coming fresh off in April of this year, a second-round TKO victory against Louis Garuli without a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, Garuli is actually a pretty good fighter. Not great, but good. And so you can judge that accordingly. He's not a bad fighter at all.
All right. That stopped a streak of 3 consecutive defeats. Steve Erceg did sit down with the boner, so let's talk about this 3-fight losing skid. Here's Mike Bond of MMA Junkie.
How do you even digest what's happened over the past 3 fights? I mean, like, it's the best guys in the world. It's a title fight, like zero shame losing to any of these people. But of course, you never want these things to come together in consecutive fights.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because if you lose, like the guys I've lost to are all like the best guys in the world. So it's like you go, oh, well, that's like a caveat to losing. But at the same time, it's like losing, still losing. And if you lose 6 in a row, but they're also the top 6 guys, like you still lost 6 in a row. So I know that at some point I have to go from competing with the best guys in the world to beating the best guys in the world. And I'm doing everything I can to make sure I will and can do that. Yeah, as far as mental, as far as training, I'm trying like making adjustments everywhere I can and trying to build on the things that are working as well. I really do think I can be a world champion. I just gotta make it all click, I guess.
Well done, mate. Currently, Erceg ranked number 10 at 125 pounds. Osborne is unranked and not riding a train, luckily, or not being run on by. Oh my God!
Yes, I want to be clear that when I was in the Marine Corps and they offered to me to allegedly run a train on a person named Osborne, A, it was a female, and B, she was heinous, but did not look like Ode Osborne. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, wow. Wow, we just got canceled. We're lucky, of course, to have a betting expert as a technical director, but he's also an Aussie MMA expert. Has it broken your heart, Luke Nocita, to see Steve Carell Erceg on this streak when he was a bright spot in Aussie MMA?
Yeah, but like you guys mentioned, it came to literally the current champion, the former champion, and the most recent title challenger. He's losing to literally the best guys in the division. If you want to get nitpicky with the stats here, Erceg's got a better striking accuracy, better striking defense, lands more strikes per minute, and Ode's got a negative striking differential. So I feel like this is Steve's thing.
Yeah.
He's been calling all week sub. Just want to say Steve by sub plus 185. Half of his wins have come by sub. Ode's been subbed 4 times before. So
interesting.
Question regarding your father. I only say this because we know my father. The only thing he knows about MMA is Dakota Ditcheva, and I have to report that yesterday I was going for a run and I ran by my neighbor Handy Dan's house. He's like 63, and he goes, "Hey, bro, how's my girl doing? Dakota." And I'm just like, what is happening in my life right now? Like, that's the only guy he knows too. Come back, don't leave me here.
Sorry.
Your dad feeling this Erceg losing streak, or he don't give a damn?
Nah, he has no idea who Steve Erceg is. I think he knew who Volk was once. Like, it was in the newspaper. He read an article, but he
has his heart recovered from Steve Irwin's death?
No one has. Australia.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who has?
Yeah.
I mean, Bindi was kind of cute on Dancing with the Stars, right? No.
All
right. Enough of that. Luke Erceg wins, right? Maybe by sub. Maybe
if he loses here, this would be really bad. He should win.
All right, that's a bounce back opportunity for him. I don't know if you care about these fights in order, Luke. What else do you care about on this card?
Let me pull up the card that I have here for you. I will say there's some interesting fights on this card. Your mileage may vary, but I feel like Angela Hill versus Yasmin Lucindo is kind of interesting, dude. Hill is almost beating 40's door down. And I know she's up and she's down, but a lot of the ones where she's down, they're still pretty close, and she guts it out. She's won 3 of her last 5. She's trying to get a title shot, before her career comes to a close. I really hope she gets an opportunity because she's a really smart and interesting person. And, is she the best fighter you've ever seen? No, but she's good. And she's scrappy, and she's just constantly getting better. So I really hope for her. Andre Fili versus C-Rod should be that should be kind of interesting, particularly I think on the ground to the extent that it goes there. Let's see who else we got here. I'm not really all that interested in Eric Anders and Christian Leroy Duncan. That one you can miss me with. I especially don't give a shit about Jocelyn Edwards and Priscilla Cachoeira.
I mean, I said
However,
this card was way better than last week. I'm wrong. Last week overachieved with those action fights. Is this good? A good card? Is this a good card?
The Miles Johns and Matsumoto fight is pretty interesting. Also, I'll give a bit of a shout out to Uros Medic and Gilbert Urbina.
Yeah.
And also, somewhat kind of friend of the show, Cody Brundage is opening the main or the.
Why is he in the
card.
curtain jerker? He's actually I mean, he's fresh off a no contest, but
they added that fight this week, so they might have just thrown at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't talk about the MMA power couple that is Cody Brundage and ABC. Why don't we?
I mean, I think you talk about it nonstop.
I was a huge Amanda Bobby Cooper fan back in the day. No? All right.
Let me ask you, when Ronda Rousey was at her peak, how often were you jacking off?
That's a disgusting notion that I will not answer you on, okay? Lucendo, by the way, is a -180 favorite over the +150 Angela Hill on that main card. Andre Fili, a +200 underdog against the -245 C-Rod. Let's bring in undercard special. Yeah, go back. There you go. Undercard specialist Luke Nocita. I know you're going live this Saturday on the main card minute because that's the.
Yo, you should change the main card minute to fuck my girlfriend.
I already do that, Luke. It's just after the stream is over. But
okay, wow, I didn't need that. But
all right,
I
we're
know
talking. I was gonna say I was with you, BC, that I thought this card was better than last weekend's card, but upon further inspection, it may be way.
They're all the fucking same, dude. It's just overflow. It's just
a better
overflow.
main event, arguably. I guess that's it. But yeah, dude. There's not much on this card. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, UFC 319 is a pretty good, if to maybe like really good card, and let's just focus on that.
Yeah, good call. Hey, that's the end of topic number 1, folks. I will be watching this on Saturday. I am fired up for that main event, but yeah, your mileage, as Luke would say, is varying after that topic.
I'm going to watch on Sunday when I get home.
All right, there you go. Topic number deuce takes you ahead of next weekend's UFC 319 card in Chicago. Happy for big fights to be back in the Windy City. Boxing was there last weekend on DAZN, and you just don't see enough big fights in Chicago. Dricus, Plessis, and Khamzat Chimaev in your middleweight championship main event. We talk about it almost every episode, how damn excited we are. This feels like a super duper great matchup. I really feel like I don't think I've been as excited for a fight like this since Max Elia, Islam versus Volk 1, like some of those recent big ones where you're like, this is a big fight, but it's also a hardcore fans fight. I'm getting that feeling here. Well, turn back the clock, and the closest thing UFC has done to a pay-per-view press tour in what feels like a long while, the two 185 headliners in next week's show made the rounds this week. More aggressively, of course, was the champion DDP, who not only threw out the first pitch at Wrigley Field in Chicago, he was on local news, all the podcasts.
Yeah, hell, can I say something about that?
Yeah.
Is it my imagination, or has it been a while, that the UFC goes to a city for a pay-per-view, not counting Vegas, obviously, like some outside of the Vegas thing, and they put their fighters on like morning radio, morning TV, all that kind of stuff. Like DDP did a great job with it. It was nice to see. This is good promotion for him. It's good promotion for, frankly, MMA. And it's good promotion, obviously, for that event. Like, I was really heartened to see this kind of thing.
Dude, I miss this. And I know the reason why they don't do it, largely to be cheap and save money, because their focus isn't on driving up pay-per-view sales in this climate with this content deal. But when I mentioned, I talked about on my live chat today, when I mentioned how excited I was for Holloway Topuria, for example, I remember that fight week being like, you and I are fired up, but I feel like there's no buzz outside of hardcore MMA fans because they don't do what they used to do, which was exactly this. Hit the ground, get the news cycles churning a week or 2 weeks out, and really get us fired up. I'm already fired up for this, but I got to be honest, these clips that we're going to play and just seeing this fight constantly on my timeline in the interviews and the comments, dude, this is how you get people excited about big-time events. Please, UFC, go back to this. Spend the money in the next broadcast deal wherever it goes. But back to the setup here. what these interviews really did is help set the narratives early as we close in on one of the most anticipated matchups in a while. Luke, we are going to get down on this card in 6 days, next Thursday, when we hit you with UFC 319 pregame preview live and direct from Meadowlark in Manhattan. Special third guest still to come, and we are going to go hard on Cuervo, maybe even that Devil's Reserve. But humor me right now. What do you think is the biggest single question about this fight that can only be answered inside the cage that you're getting excited about?
What happens after round 3?
Yes.
Everybody keeps talking about what about round 1? And obviously, round 1 is going to be pivotal in enormous ways, right? What could happen? So DDP could get finished because Khamzat is the fucking, Evil Knievel just getting shot out of a cannon. That's one. Or he survives round 1, but is so battered that the fight, it becomes, academic at that point afterwards. So that's what everyone keeps talking about is round 1, round 1, round 1. And of course, like no one can dismiss that, right? But I said something on Twitter the other day, and of course, like anything on Twitter, you can say 2 + 2 is 4, people disagree, but let me just sort of defend it here a little bit, which is I'm getting Hendo Hua vibes for this fight.
Oh my God, I have a phoner. Okay,
but I want to explain what that means, right? I'm not saying that it's going to look exactly like that fight. That's not what I'm saying. And I can't even declare that it'll be, that one went the distance. This one might not go the distance. But what I am trying to point out about it is 2 things. One, when this may sound, dude, I remember the lead up to that fucking fight week when they fought each other. People were kind of hyped for it, but like people didn't know what to make of that fight. They didn't know how the two were going to interact. There was a little bit of like, we don't really know how this is going to go. And there certainly was an expectation that it would deliver. But what happened was the way in which those two came together, it unlocked something bigger than themselves. I feel like Khamzat and DDP have the capacity to do, not the exact same thing, but unlock something, and you get a bigger fight than what I think people, there's obviously high expectations, but delivering in that particular case. The second thing I want to say is what was interesting about Hendo and Hua was the third round was the sort of the demarcation line where Hendo beats the fuck out of Shogun Hua for 15 minutes. And then in the last 2 rounds, Shogun is kicking his ass to the point where he's in mount and fucking raining down punishment on him. And BC, if you think about it for a second, think about times that the tide has turned in 5-round fights. Another example, for example, would be John Jones versus Gustafsson 1. It was after the 3rd round that it was the pivotal round. So to me, again, any number of different things are possible here. But let's say this fight actually makes it to the 3rd round. What happens after that is, to me, the real fucking story about what you're going to get. And I can't wait to see what happens.
Dude, I can't wait to see if Chimaev can do the same thing he did to Whitaker, Holland, and all these dudes early on. I can't wait to see if Chimaev has that championship cardio. All that stuff is firing me up. And what's interesting, if I recall, tell me if I'm wrong, where Henderson Hua won is arguably the best action fight in the history of the UFC. Didn't that go head-to-head with Eddie Alvarez, Michael Chandler 2, in arguably the best fight in Bellator history? I remember
that was the same. No, it didn't go head-to-head. One happened before the other one. So those 2 fights happened on the same day.
You're right, because I remember sitting in the ESPN.com newsroom wrapping up our coverage. I was like a page editor, wrapping up our coverage of the Bellator as the guy next to me was watching Henderson Hua start, and they were just like losing their shit. Shout out to that. I hope we get something even remotely close to that. We've got some sound to react to. Let's start first with DDP sitting down with the Chicago Sports Network. He wore many Chicago sports jerseys on his media tour. It was funny to see. He's talking about how much damn weight he has to cut for this 185 title limit. Let's listen.
1, what do you walk around at? And then how far away from that 185 are you right now?
I'm still quite a fair bit away from 185, but I do walk around 225, 230. That's my walk around weight out of camp, of course. And then in camp, we started to slim down and, You know, right now my weight's on track. Weight is perfectly where I needed to be this stage of the fight. And we are 10 days away from weigh-ins right now. And this is where the hard part starts, you know, getting the body ready to cut that water and put it back on safely.
Look, he's a big MFer, and I certainly don't want to get too deep into the analysis here ahead of next week, but Chimaev, even if he does take this guy down in round 1 and try to do Khamzat things, I don't know if he's fought a guy this physical before.
You would say Usman, but like the version of Usman that he got, while crafty, is, you know, diminished. Dude, this is peak fucking DDP. You know what I mean? Peak. And I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if we have the video. Did you see DDP in his corner? Sorry, did you see Chimaev and his cornerman making fun of the way that DDP throws punches?
No.
It's the best impression of DDP I've ever fucking seen. Not like the way he talks, but like the physical mannerisms, you know? It was incredible to see that. Like, this is the reality. Like, DDP is who we think he is. You know, he's weird and it's sometimes goofy, but like he's a fucking tank. And the reality is, Chimaev, I think, is probably better suited at 85. But this is a guy who fought at 70. You know, dude, DDP couldn't fight at 170 short of amputation. You know, it just wouldn't. It couldn't happen. So, you know, I again, it's just so many interesting ways in which these two line up. I can't. I have said it, BC, as you know, the biggest Taporia booster of the last 2 fucking years in this sport. Even I have been said since the beginning, this is the fight on the calendar I care the most about in MMA or boxing. I care more about this one than I do Canelo Crawford. You know, take that as you will.
Yeah, I'm starting to get there with you. DDP on the streak of consecutive wins. He's 23-2 overall. He has not lost since a 2018 fight in the rematch with Roberto Soldic. Is that how I'm saying this, Luke? I get butcher on that.
Yeah, I've heard it. Soldic.
I like Soldic. Yeah, that's that was a rematch there for the KSW welterweight championship. He's unbeaten in the UFC, but how about this run of submitting Darren Till, stopping Derek Brunson, stopping Robert Whitaker, split decision over Sean Strickland, submitting Adesanya, beating Strickland by decision in the rematch. If he adds Chimaev to this list, we are talking about really a legendary run. One more piece of sound from DDP as he talked about that big challenge, that first round, that wrestling of Khamzat Chimaev and dealing with it. Let's listen.
Khamzat is really known for his relentless pressure. He's an elite grappler as well. What can you exploit against him?
Yeah, I mean, Khamzat obviously world-class wrestling, grappling, but you know, at this level of the sport, everybody's world-class. You know, this is not grappling or wrestling, this is MMA. And that's where I'm going to exploit, is being the best in my... we're not fighting for a wrestling title, we're not fighting for a grappling title. We are fighting for the UFC title, and that's where I am the best. I'm not the best wrestler, I'm not the best grappler or best striker, but when you put all of those things together, if you combine it, and that's the sport we do, I am the best in the world.
Shout out to that lady from Fox 32 who's like, so when you'd have the fight against the hazmat suit, what are you going to do? Yeah, that was good stuff right there. Yeah, that's fantastic. All right. We'll see how he deals with that physicality. Let's go to Chimaev, who had a very lengthy sit down with Brett Okamoto of ESPN MMA inside a kitchen. And one of the big things Chimaev corrected the record on is this narrative that if he wins the championship, he'll retire, or we can add in the concerns that Dean Thomas has had publicly that Chimaev will be inactive due to the up and down run he's had with health, visas, bad luck, all of that. Here's Chimaev addressing that rumors with the most handsome man in MMA media, I think.
You know, there's this rumor out there that if you win the championship, that you will retire. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I seen the Kaya said, I don't know where he's heard that things. So I need money, bro. This is not enough, right? Just to go for the one title. So I hopefully, if not get some injury or some stuff, they're gonna fight for defend the belt or fight for other belt in Abu Dhabi as well.
14-0 is Chimaev overall on a streak of consecutive wins over Kevin Holland, Kamaru Usman, Robert Whitaker. Luke, I like that he's going to be around a while. He needs some money. I would have thought he's well taken care of by his boy Kadyrov, or we don't talk about that.
I guess Kadyrov hasn't been seen that much recently. God only knows what he's up to these days. But listen,
Maybe
I'll
he's
just say,
entertaining Gaethje and all the other Ali fighters.
yes,
Maybe.
yes, they get real mad when you bring this up, even though they did it for public consumption. But okay, neither here nor there.
That beard, dude, that beard's massive. Do you see
That
that
beard
shit?
is fucking massive, and if anybody sort of looks like a fighter, Khamzat Chimaev kind of looks like one. And I'll just say, I mean, now that he's able to compete in the United States, his earning potential is obviously significantly boosted. I think the thing I would say, BC, is I was on Submission Radio and he asked me, like, what's better for the UFC, if DDP or Khamzat wins? And the reality is, dude, the answer is who they can build around long term. Can they build around Khamzat long term? The answer is maybe, right? We don't know, but like possibly. But the other thing to sort of think about is the answer maybe 2 years ago would have been like, oh, Khamzat, he's like, or maybe even 3 years, whatever it was, like at the peak of his powers, it would have been Khamzat. But the thing to think about is, I've seen guys get built into big time stars and even legends in MMA. It takes time. It takes time. And DDP isn't there yet, BC, obviously. But this is his first fucking headlining pay-per-view in the United States. Like, it's gonna take time. He's already made some inroads. He goes out there and he beats Chimaev. He's well on his way. So, like, I know a few years ago the answer would have been like, oh, Khamzat, like the sport is so interested in him and there could be nobody else. And maybe it should be him, maybe it will be him. But if DDP wins, man, I truly believe, for all the ways in which he's already proven doubters wrong, he could round another promotional corner that could be great for UFC and obviously for his career as a big time star in the sport.
Yeah, dude, he has monster star appeal, even with the ups and downs of his career. Still unbeaten, still dominant. Only really close fight was that Gilbert Burns war, which I still feel like he made harder than it needed to be. I also feel like he lost that fight. Shout out to Gilbert, friend of the program right there. One more piece of sound here for Chimaev that's pretty interesting. The one lament I've had on his run so far with these inconsistencies is I did want to see him fight for the welterweight title before moving up to middleweight. But we got a piece of sound here from Chimaev talking about his ambition. He's not done. He's not done. If he wins this middleweight championship, he has a lot more goals to attain.
I work with the new coach, Coach Carl. I talk about him, go down again, back to my first fights, the 170 or 75, what was that?
170.
170. He said he gives me a couple of months, we're gonna make it. So I don't know who is the champ there, this guy, Australian guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, would be a good fight for me and go down fight with him as well.
Yeah.
Could take the belt there. And if I go up and there is Ankalaev and his name, Alex Pereira, they are fighting now. Mm-hmm. Who is winning can fight for that belt as well. So, yeah.
Luke, we thought the first person to attempt the 3-division champion was Conor. Then we thought it would probably be Pereira. For a little bit, we thought Adesanya. Do you think he'll get that chance, or is this just big ball ambition?
He hasn't won a single fucking title yet. What are we talking about? Again,
he's talking about it, not me.
Like,
all right?
like, is he one of these kinds of guys who you could like look at and say, hey, would he be a good candidate potentially for something like that? Sure. But that is, I don't know how to explain that. It's sort of like I'm not sure what the analogy would be. It's like, climbing El Capitan, who's a good candidate for it? You find the world's best climbers, and it's like, okay, but that's still like an insanely difficult fucking task that, let's just sort of imagine that no one's done yet. Like, just like, get the fuck out of here. He hasn't even gotten one fucking title yet, much less two. And we're talking about, could he get three? Let's get one, and then we'll talk about two.
Okay. I mean, it's probably not going to happen where he could go from beating DDP to beating the winner of Islam JDM to beating the winner of Ankalaev Pereira, but I love the big ball talk that goes with that. Well, we have not seen a ton of trash talk between Du Plessis and Chimaev in the buildup to this fight, but there is somebody who is talking trash about Chimaev. His name is Sean Strickland. We had to call in our friends from Cuervo because this sounds a lot like shots fired. And of course, this edition of Shots Fired brought to you by Cuervo. Now's a good time to enjoy the tequila that invented tequila, and we will be enjoying that next Thursday at pregame preview. Here's Strickland looking back on the sparring that he previously did at Extreme Couture in Vegas with Chimaev.
If you knew, I always say there's guys, if you knew on a personal level you wouldn't like, Chimaev is one of those people if you knew you wouldn't like. You know, he'll come in here. There's a video of me. I always like, oh, you're so good. Khamzat, understand? You're better than most. You're better than everybody. So just don't hurt people. Like, I'm being sarcastic. Like, bro, like, you go and you fucking starch this 1-on-1 guy when there's like Edmund, there's like high level UFC fighters, and you're picking the one-on-one fighter because, like, you think he's the same height as your opponent. No, you're picking him because you're a bitch, dude. Like, it's just, yeah, he's just like, no, he could fight, but, like, mentally, he's just a weak man. You know, he's just a weak man.
Damn, them are fighting words, and those words were relayed to Khamzat Chimaev yesterday. Here's his response.
When you were in Vegas, you trained at Extreme Couture with Sean Strickland. He's been saying some stuff in interviews about, he just didn't like your approach. Just why do you think he's saying that, and do you have a response?
I don't know. When I was there, they never said anything, you know. When I leave the Vegas and when they stopped my visa, he started to talk. When I come back, I'm in LA, bro. Come on. If it's something personal for you, just come. I'm here whenever you want.
Just come. All right. He's here, Luke. He can get in this country again. Just come. We were in Extreme Couture with Coach Eric Nixick for that RSD that time, and they did those guys in the gym were talking about when Chimaev was there and that people had success against him. I know sparring is sparring. You're not always getting that, but is this Strickland trying to plant a seed for a future fight, or just Strickland being Strickland?
Definitely, I don't think there's any way to say it's, Strickland being Strickland has to be part of it, right? I mean, there's, he doesn't know how to talk without doing that kind of thing, from what I can tell. But I think what I would say is it's an interesting claim that he's making. Okay, so I've done enough training to know that I'm not good, but I've also done enough training to know and see what he's talked about. There are definitely guys, and sometimes it happens at the heavyweight end because they can weight bully, where, it's time to spar. And, for high level guys, that's much more coordinated. Like they know exactly who they're sparring with and blah, blah, blah. But, when it's more like an open class, you kind of have to just pick guys either your size, and then you just rotate out. And then you could end up with a lot of different kind of opponents, right? They you lengthier ones, shorter ones, smaller ones, bigger ones, depending on who you are. And I've absolutely seen what he's talking about, where there are guys who kind of carefully pick who they're going to go up against so that they don't look bad as a consequence, or they don't get a tough round. I've seen it in many different ways. It would surprise me if Khamzat is that way. It would surprise me. But let's just posit something. Let's say for a second that Sean is right. If Khamzat is that way, and that's if DDP is going to fuck him up, right?
Whoa.
Yeah, again, if he's the kind of guy who, when you're picking rounds to train and you're purposely picking around who you're supposed to be training with because you either want to dominate or you want an easy roll or whatever, DDP is going to feast on a guy like that. So let's see if Sean Strickland is right, I guess is my point. Let's see if he's right.
Damn, I cannot wait for this fight next
week. Dude, this fight is fucking sick. I'm so pumped.
And I'm really looking forward to the pregame preview because there's a lot of names. There's a lot of depth on this card, from Aaron Pico in the co-main. You got that Jeff Neal, Carlos Pratis, Jared Cannonier versus MVP, Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. You got King Green, Jessica Andrade, Chase Hooper, Edson Barbosa on the early prelims. A lot of names to get excited about. Al Ferran impersonator Mihail Oleksiejczuk is here as well. So get fired up. We're going to drink some Cuervo next Thursday for UFC 319 pre-game preview. Oh, yeah. Luke, real quick, earlier today, there was some breaking news on the UFC fight scene in Rio. Brazil, October 11th.
I saw this.
Fight night
Charles
main
Oliveira and
event.
Rafael Fiziev.
A banger. I just met her. Oliveira Fiziev, your thoughts?
What the fuck is Charles Oliveira thinking? I know he probably wants to compete in Brazil, and God bless him. I hope he gets what out of that. I hope he gets out of it what he wants. And it's not me declaring he will lose, but holy shit, you are running a risk. He just got flatlined, and you're going to turn around and go against a dynamic striker in Fiziev in October. It is such a huge risk. I love the fight. I hate Charles Oliveira's thinking here. It's so dangerous.
Yeah. I hope he does the gray hair dye for this one. He's going to need it. Hey, this podcast, this Morning Kombat episode, sponsored, by the way, by Total Wireless, the official wireless partner of the UFC. And when you're streaming the fight or sharing those highlights with your boys, you need a wireless provider that keeps you close to the action. Well, hey, with Total Wireless, you're covered by the Verizon 5G network. So you don't have to worry about your connection being KO'd in the biggest moments. And it's not something you can talk about. Oh, my wireless provider's got my back, like Coach Latore in my corner. The thing is, though, with Total Wireless, you can stay close to the action because they're covered. They are with you every second of the day, so you never miss a thing. They keep you covered for just $25 a month with 4 lines, people, without sacrificing those essentials like speed. And of course, with Total, you're getting unlimited 5G data, so you can stay ahead of the action and keep up with every knockout. Total Wireless also understands that you can't afford any surprise blows any more than your most favorite fighters can. That's why, get this, price guaranteed for 5 years. Talking about taxes and fees included. The best fighters don't make it to the top without that all-in support behind them, especially Chef Kaz cooking those meals. Well, hey, it shouldn't be any different with your wireless provider. So visit TotalWireless.com right now or visit your local Total Wireless store to learn more about how Total Wireless can be in your corner. 5G access requires a 5G-capable device on a 5G service area. Monthly rate on the Total Base 5G Unlimited plan. For new subscribers, applies only to the monthly rate for your plan. Additional terms apply. See website for details. Let's go quickly to topic number 3, then we'll welcome in the fan portion of today's show. How about this little news sneaking in this week? The ABC, the Association of Boxing Commissions, has approved changes to the MMA's unified scoring rules. The ABC held their 37th annual conference this week, where the language regarding MMA judging was overhauled to more accurately reflect the current practices, particularly as it relates to damage. Good friend of the program, Eric McGracken, a non-voting member of the ABC committee, posted on his website, combatsportslaw.com, that the old version of the rules shied away from the word damage, despite making the concept of it important. The new version emphasizes damage in several ways, resulting in clearer and easier to understand language for fighters, officials, and the public at large. In addition to emphasizing damage, the key for determining a round winner will also note that damage is essential to score a 10-8 round, with dominance and duration together not being enough. And when judges can't determine a winner on damage and move on down to aggressiveness or fighting area control, they no longer can do so in a tiered way, but instead based on whichever impacted the round in a more significant manner. Luke, we've long talked about damage being the key, yet when you look at the language of the law, it doesn't really add up evenly, despite what Big John McCarthy said in having originally helped make that law. How do you think this change to the letter of the law will help things moving forward?
I maintain that, it's just my opinion, but I maintain that the best kind of scoring criteria is the one that Pride and now One Championship use, where they judge as a whole. Of course, there are criteria within that to achieve that end, but that is the way that they do it. I just tend to think you get neater, less complicated problems as a result. I mean, to me, they keep trying to iterate this. And I want to be clear, this iteration is a good one. This is, I think, it's not a massive change to what you're going to get in the sport, but it provides clarity. It adds a degree of, I think, simplicity, and it streamlines the process, especially when when everything's equal. Before they had the checklist they had to go down, and now they're not going to do that. I think that's a lot. I think that's a smart change. So I want to be clear: these are good changes. These are smart changes. These are efficient changes. Is it going to radically alter the judging that you get? I think people are still going to complain about the judging. You know what I mean? Like, I think that these changes, right? They're going to make the job of the judge easier, but there's a gap between how the judges perceive their job and what MMA fans think the job of the judge is. And as long as that gap exists, yes, you're making the job easier for the judges, and that's not nothing. But we're still going to get belly aching about the decisions. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I got you on that one. There is a new, they also voted on a new commissioner this week, Mike Mazzulli out. I forgot the name of the guy who took over from Florida.
From Florida, yeah.
He was big on getting MMA back in Jacksonville for UFC during COVID. So that's interesting. One connection to this, of course, is the California State Athletic Commission Executive Director, Andy Foster, who did a very timely interview on the Ariel Helwani show. Now, Luke, he was very heavily maligned by combat sports journalists for both his support. Timothy Shipman was the name. Thank you, Luke Nacita, the new ABC commissioner. Andy Foster was on Ariel, and he took a lot of shit for kind of softly supporting Power Slap, and then also really supporting the changes to the Ali Act that TKO is behind and trying to push.
I hope every fighter understands. Like, I've had a good relationship with him, and I'm not going to sit here and say bad things about him, but I hope every fighter who sees this or hears this understands that the regulatory apparatus in this country doesn't give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't want you to die in their state when you compete. But short of that, they don't give a fuck about you.
I mean, is it unfair to say they care more about making sure the promoters that bring in the big money are going to keep coming back to their city?
Yes, it is quite obvious that is a higher priority. Yes.
All right. Well, am I frozen? Can you see me? Oh, here we go.
How is it I'm in a van down by the river and I have better internet than you?
Speaking of the Foster,
I look like John Daly and I have better internet than you. How is that possible?
By the way, as much as you maligned Happy Gilmore 2, you got to give it to John Daly's performance in that movie.
Okay. The third time he ate the hand sanitizer, he overdid it.
Yeah,
but he definitely had a couple of bangers in that movie.
Yeah, he played that role well. All right, Foster did have some answers related to this topic overall that we're talking about, the scoring change. Here's Andy Foster talking to Ariel about how judges will now score a 10-8 round.
Said you're the chairman of the rules committee, so this would fall under your jurisdiction. What are the modifications that are being made to the scoring criteria?
So it's a slight modification. It's important for the public to understand to get a 10-8 in mixed martial arts is now going to require significant damage. I understand the way that it's being scored right now. The judges are already scoring that way, but this is actually going to be in if it's accepted by the body. And that's a relatively important change because it's going to actually put the word damage in the document. We've talked about it for a long time, but damage is the number one scoring criteria through effective striking and effective grappling. You've heard these other terms, effective aggressiveness, effective cage control. These things we never get to, Ariel. The public does not need to ever use the term effective aggressiveness or effective cage control really in the context of scoring. The only thing that matters is how the techniques through striking or grappling have impacted their opponent. That's the way this is scored. In a 10-9, we're putting out the language. A 10-8, we're putting out the language, and then a 10-7.
I think that's a good change right there across the board. They're still not going to score defense in MMA, although that is part of the scoring criteria, of course, in boxing. One more quick soundbite here. Foster shit on any judge who's still liking the idea of a 10-10 round.
The three main criteria still are damage, dominance, and duration. Damage being the most important, right?
That's correct. And it's a requirement now for a 10-8 round.
Okay. What about a 10-10? Should we be seeing more of those?
No. Look, man, if you watch a fight for 5 minutes, Ariel, and you can't tell me who won that fight, and they're fighting in earnest, I'll find another judge.
Dude, I actually agree with that completely.
Sorry, my thing here is what the fuck? All right, sorry about that. I don't know what the hell happened. I don't actually.
Really?
Why? Yeah, why is it that I guess I don't understand. I understand why you would not want a judge to it would be bad if judges gave a lot of 10-10s for the business, right? But I guess I don't understand. Are you telling me it's conceptually impossible for me to imagine that two guys could fight in a way where it would be basically not impossible to discern a difference, but reasonably difficult to where you would almost be like ascribing value to insignificant things? That seems to me actually very plausible. So to me, the notion of like, oh, we don't want to have 10-10s, that's an argument about like preserving the business interest. And fine, just make the argument like it's bad for business to have a bunch of 10-10s. But the notion that like that's not a coherent way to evaluate a round, I don't understand the argument for that at all.
I fully disagree because most MMA fights are 3 rounds. You're only scoring 3 rounds. If one of them is going to be 10-10, it's like, I get that there's some rounds where almost nothing happens. And he did say right there, if the fighters are fighting in earnest.
Right.
But like over 5 minutes, not like boxing where it's a 3-minute round. And if it's a 3-minute round with very little action, I understand that more, even though I hate 10-10 rounds in boxing, and you almost never see them because in most commissions they're encouraged not to do 10-10 rounds, even in boxing. And sometimes in boxing almost nothing happens. In 5 minutes in an MMA fight, something's got to happen. Somebody's got to win the round. And if there's any concern, you should have done more in the round to try to change that, in my opinion. But that is what it is, Luke. I think 10-10 sucks. Okay, pick a winner. All right?
They're bad for business. I give you that.
Get off the fence. Get off the damn fence. All right, we're going to close today with our typical Friday fun fan segments. And how you get there is by emailing the show, morningkombat@gmail.com. The great Mikey Mo Miles is on the other side of that. Say hi to him. Be nice. Don't show him your privates. We kick off with our ombudsman segment. Me and LT speak a lot of shit into this microphone, and sometimes we're factually incorrect. Sometimes we're just assholes. But if you can prove us wrong and you got timestamps, you better come original. This here is dead wrong.
Dead wrong.
And I got to take a knee on this first one. Many people sent in Anthony, Michael, Richard, Greg, Colin, around 16 minutes and 30 seconds of last MK episode on Monday when discussing the racist Master Splinter voice. Ryan said Uncle Phil from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air voiced Master Splinter. Dead wrong, BC. Uncle Phil voiced Shredder in the Ninja Turtle cartoon. I was wrong. I will take the damn L. See, there you go. It's easy, right? You present it, we take the knee. Our final one comes from both Michael and Nima. Michael writes, hello again, Donks. On Monday, when doing the time-killing fill-in-the-blank segment, both of you reprehensible dirtbags were dead wrong. When mentioning the, oh, so you're a wrestler now, quote from Nate Diaz, both of you Jamoke stated that it was pre-fight. How does that make any sense? He made that comment at the desk after the fight against Conor McGregor when Conor shot for a takedown in the first meeting at UFC 196 in March of 2016. Get it together, fellas. Yeah, I guess we could take that out too, right?
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
That's easy.
Sorry
That's
about
easy. Pedantic stuff right there. I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Our final segment is where you show us pictures of your artwork of Saul's wife in an MK shirt and whatever else you got for us. It's the Jay Paquette special here. This one's called Fan Submissions.
You've got mail.
Viewers.
All righty, let's kick it off with my hero, Christian DeGiro. He says, hi, Donks. Last Saturday, I had my final amateur fight. Yes. And following suit with my last 6 fights, I put MK on the dong and carried that energy to another finish, improving my record to 8-2 as an amateur with 7 finishes and winning the Up Next Fighting Bantamweight Championship. Thank you, Donks, for all the entertainment you provide us fans on a weekly basis. You can count me in as a donk for life. Luke, I don't think we're doing enough to showcase this young man. He showed up at our Three Margaritas live show. He's putting us on the D, brother. This guy is a killer.
I am so proud of him, and this is such a great achievement. What a great amateur run he had, and I hope the pro side is that times 10. Also, there's the schmo on the left side of the screen.
Oh, shit. Look at that. Up next fighting. That's pretty awesome. Shout out to the schmo right there. Shout out to Christian DeGiro of California. Luke, I hope he never signs a 12-12, but I'd love to see him on the DWCS one day.
I would love to see him have, again, I hope it's as good as the amateur run and more. What a great guy.
All right. Well done, Christian DeGiro. We're going to have you on this show ahead of your pro debut. Keep up the great work. Our second one comes from my boy Joe, who calls himself Run Dem Cheeks. He says, "Greeting, gents."
Oh, this guy's great.
Yeah, my wife.
I think this guy is a Marine or a former Marine.
He is. Yes. He's a Pennsylvania guy. He says, "My wife and I just got back from celebrating our honeymoon in the UK. We spent 1 week in London, 1 week in Scotland, and yet again, the MK bomber jacket proved its worth by keeping me comfortable no matter the weather. Here are a few photos of us in the Highlands and Loch Ness. And no, my wife and I don't actually believe in Bigfoot. She just wore the hat to be ironic at Loch Ness, though my father does believe in him and thinks he travels through dimensional portals. Anywho, wish you the best and thanks for all that you do. And side note, our tour guide said that Scotland is rapidly losing its Spanish and Latino population since the UK left the EU. So let's hope Johnny Walker did some work to keep the population going for years." Luke, if you recall here, Joe and Hannah, the newlyweds, and shout out to them. I believe Joe wore the MK bomber when they climbed like Mount Fuji, was it? Do you remember that back in the day?
I believe that's right. Yes. Don't hold me to that, but I think that's right.
Yeah, well done there. Congratulations to the young couple. Thank you for bringing MK on your life journey. I mean, you remember little Anthony and V. I think they conceived wearing MK clothing.
I think that Saul, when he bangs his significant other, wears MK gear doing it. You know what I'm saying?
I hope he wears those MK undies with you and I's face against the butthole.
Yeah,
you know?
just touching tips like two idiots.
There you go. Thank you so much, Joe. Let's go over to Kevin. No comment on this one. Let's see what we got here.
Luke, cut me some slack when pronouncing Mateusz Raumbeski. Luke, when pronouncing Esteban. It's so true. But this is the funny part about doing this job, and I think you would agree with at least this part, right, BC? You took French in high school, right? What did you take in high school?
5 years of French in middle.
5 years of French. Okay, so if you were required, if someone came to you and said, "Hey, we need you to what kind of language would you at least have the best chance of pronouncing correctly other than English?" You would probably say French.
Yes.
The answer for me would definitely be Spanish, however limited my Spanish might be. But then the reality of this business is like, dude, you've got people from every fucking imaginable walk of life, and none of their names match up against the other ones, and the rules about how you pronounce it don't follow through. So you get like one kind of lane where you can kind of, and then everything else you sound like a fucking idiot peasant. You know what I mean?
Is it Chazan, Shana, Shawa, Hua,
Again, I fuck that one up every time.
I can't get Kyle Borrelio off of my mouth either. All right there. Let's keep it going. Here's my boy from the Quebecois, Marc-Antoine Dussault, who says, "Hey, Donks, in response to the hot dog eating on both ends that we saw on Have You Seen This Shit, I've made some AI art with your boys trying to create this magical moment. You guys, oh, God.
Okay. This is...
Okay, Mark, please, can you take this away? Here are two pictures that... that show what your day is. That Cake Lady? What's going on here?
Dude, I gotta say, the AI portion, dude, AI has revolutionized fan subs in the worst way imaginable, but also in the funniest way imaginable.
God. Dude, don't I look like Mike Bone in that picture right there?
No, you look like you, but with that shoe polish fucking, hair dye.
Remember that at Pois Wake Connor 2 when we had that live show at the Park MGM and I looked like Elvis at the 68 comeback special? Wow, that was good times. Well done, Marc-Antoine. We appreciate you. Let's hear from Jonas. What do we got here? Reggie.
I'm mooning like a morally odious piece of shit on his podcast, and I carefully vote for the most gruesome slobs to hold political office, but he still treats me like Shirley Temple. Suck on it, Luke.
Mr. October in the house right there. You gotta love that.
Mr. October, this fucking cat.
Dude, he's so hated in this house. I'm the only one that has like real genuine love for him. It's amazing. It's great.
Who is the leader? Who's the clubhouse leader? Like the most liked pet?
My wife's little dog, Sasha. No question. Close second is Molly, the big brown German Shepherd Doberman mix. And then you can go to the two girl cats, Zoe and Emma. Reggie, deep at the bottom, dude. Deep at the bottom.
Man, fucking A.
Yeah. Was Booger well loved in your house or no?
Dude, Booger was top of the food chain, brother.
Whoa.
Yeah, he was top of the food chain, man. It was yeah, I don't know what to say, man.
He had a great run. We love that guy. Moko?
Yeah, Moko Lindo, yeah.
Named after Muhammad Mukayev, right? Yeah, big
Yes,
stuff. Okay.
exactly right. Named after Muhammad Mukayev. That's exactly right.
All right, here we go. Our final one comes from, Average Joe Art, was he last year's Donk of the Year? He was, right? 24's Donk of the Year? Joe Romero, right?
Yo, he's out here hitting a bong. Where is this guy?
Oh, I didn't know you were asking me. I thought you were asking LT.
I was asking LT, yeah.
I thought you
Yeah,
I thought you
that's
said
what
by
I
my
was
own
calling
Luke.
it.
Sorry, say that again. Here I am, hoisted by my own petard. Say it again.
Last year's Donk of the Year was Average Joe Art, correct?
Yes, I believe that's right.
Okay, we close with Average Joe, who says...
Oh, he bigged this one up on social. Let's see.
He says, what does it say about me that while on a morning walk with my dogs listening to MK, I hear one of the many, many references to Luke's enormous bowel movements, then proceed to watch a Jaws documentary later in the day, and something in my brain clicks that says, yep, that's it. I want to introduce you both to the next summer blockbuster. It's called Breach.
Holy shit balls.
It also probably says a lot about me that I thought a lot about how to properly render a shark-shaped turd. Initially, everything was in full color and the water looked a lot closer to how you'd expect the toilet following one of LT's great accomplishments. Maybe that was a little bit too much. I hope the various nuggets and blood specks come across, as well as Captain Luke's cat. I wanted this to be very simple, but very effective. What does that say? Can you read that, Luke? I can't.
We're going to need a bigger commode.
Oh, yeah. And then the hat says SS Joseph A. Bank.
Oh, my God. Dude, we got the best people on this show.
Oh,
Holy
dude,
crap.
that is so fucking awesome. You know, I told my wife that story.
Gross. You did? You can get away with that?
I told my wife that story, and she was like, "You're a fucking barn animal."
Yes,
And I was
yes.
like, "Yeah, that's about right. Yeah,
Shout out to Mrs. T on here. What she once rolled with Roxanne Modafferi, Luke. Never forget,
that's
right?
right." She told me Roxanne was pretty good.
Yeah, she didn't take Khamzat advantages of her. So that was great to see. You know?
No, she did not. That's right.
There we go. Those are the fan subs of this week. Well done, folks. Morning Kombat at gmail.com. You want to reach the show, say hi, show Mikey your peignoir, or send in fan subs, dead wrongs, or whatever else you got for us. We will be back, of course, a remote show on Monday morning, 11 a.m., recapping the weekend's action. You can follow us at the handles below. You can also follow our extended YouTube channels, including the Main Card Minute with Luke Nocita and Luke Thomas Gets Political. Subscribe to his Substack as well. Don't forget, guys, next Thursday, 2 days before UFC 319, Cuervo will bring you pregame preview live and direct from Manhattan. Luke, will you get into the Devil's Preserve, and will you do it without a chaser this time?
I will definitely get into it. I will not do it without a chaser. I like my little system.
Yeah, but the thing about the Devil's Reserve, and I don't know, Cita, did you shoot that in the end? You shot it, right?
Yeah, it was delicious.
Dude, it tastes like spicy water. It was amazing.
Yes, it does. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's phenomenal. But like the argument for those, it's like, oh, you can have it like a shot because it's easy to have it like a shot. True. But the reality is the things that are easy to shoot like that are also good for making cocktails. Now, granted, I'm putting it in fucking Mountain Dew, so it's not like I'm some mixologist. But it works both ways.
All right, it's Cuervo's Devil's Reserve. I keep getting the name wrong. Devil's Reserve, brought to you by Cuervo. That will be on tap next Thursday. Our third man, soon to be revealed. Or maybe it's a woman. You're going to have to find out, okay? Maybe it's a small person. It's up to you. Tune in.
If it has to be a porn star, who are you picking?
Rocco. No question. All right. Just let me come on here. Yeah.
I was thinking
gotta
Asa Akira or like Angela White, and you're like, I want a man.
I mean, I got that guy's legendary. I got it. That guy's obviously one of the grossest humans of all time. But shout out to Mr. Safredi.
You know what I can't stand about him is he breathes through his teeth, like that.
I mean, him and Chasey Lane back in the day. Good Lord. All right, enough of this BS.
Like, dude, stop talking and stop breathing through your fucking teeth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, seriously. Long Island Luke Nocita, what do we have on tap for the main card minute this weekend?
Full card watch along tomorrow, 4 p.m. Join me and Gaff. Main card minute. Be there, be square.
Gaff loves Haitian combat sports stars. Shout out to that guy. We love him as well. That's our show for this Friday. Not live, but still in your face where it belongs. Thank you so much for supporting us, guys. We really, really, really appreciate it. Let's hope the second half of this year continues to heat up in the combat. Soon, hopefully, we'll find out where the UFC broadcasting deal is going. Luke, did you see Manny Pacquiao said he wants to come back in December?
I don't have any, even the slightest degree of interest.
Really? Let me give you the opponent list that's being talked about. Rolly, Tank, Barrios, Floyd. Which one you want? Which one you pick?
Zero, none. Go to retire.
No, come on. If you have to pick one, come on.
No, none. Zero. I don't give a fuck.
Dude, Rolly found God. He's turned his life around. You got to cheer for that.
I don't believe that, and nor do I care.
Wow. It's like and I hope he burns in hell. Okay.
No, I mean, if Rolly wants to keep fighting, that's cool. But like Manny, I'm done. I'm super done.
All right. Luke, do you want to say anything nice to our people on the way out here?
Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it. morningkombat.shop for any of your goodies, your nugs, all that fun stuff. As we mentioned, we've got the Vaping is for Closers. We've got the Beavis and Butthead shirt, and we got the autographed Super Washed Dads posters available now. morningkombat.shop. And of course, they only last until August 31st, 11:59 at night p.m. So after that, they're gone. This is the chance.
Be gone. Yeah, they're gone. So get your exclusives now. They will not last, by the way. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Luke, enjoy your time on this little holiday. Shout out to Tukey. She didn't run in this episode. Big win for you, right?
She ran in the pre-show. She definitely ran in the pre-show.
For Luke's lighting on BC. Luke, you look like the devil right there. All right, we're out of here. Thank you. Yeah.